Hi everybody. I am working on going live and getting myself set up because I'm doing some stuff for a course I'm building for Vectorworks training, and I'm just getting things set up here online. Let's see if I can get this working properly. It blipped on Facebook and then disappeared. Whoops. It certainly did. Alright, let's go delete that recording. Alright, where is it? Here we go. Well, that was one of those blips that was kind of embarrassing. Let's see if I'm actually live right now. Facebook. Stage seminars. It does look like I'm live now. Test chat. Stage seminars group over there. Oh yeah, that's working over there. Let's see if I see it on my main screen here. Yep, there it is. Okay. So that's working. Next thing I need to learn how to do is how to set this stuff up before going live. It's working there. See if this is working over here. I'm going on to YouTube to see if it is broadcasting over on YouTube. Of course, I'm signed out. Good times. Good times. So, how's everybody doing today? If you are here and you are present in chat, or you're online, go ahead and throw something in the chat so I can see you're here. Stage seminars. Alright, it does look like it's broadcasting on YouTube. I wonder how the delay is. Let's see. 2, 3, 6. It's about 20 seconds on YouTube. That's not too bad. It's much longer on Facebook. It takes a lot longer. And the resolution of my screen, when I do my screen sharing for Vectorworks, will be much better on YouTube, because it's broadcasting at 1080p on YouTube, but it's only at 720. Whoops. No. Shh. It's only 720 on Facebook. There we go. So that seems to be working there. Let's see if this thing works here. Good morning, Marianne. Thanks for joining. If you're interested in learning about drafting on a computer, stick around. Otherwise, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so to Vectorworks. Make sure that everything's set up here. My camera's slightly in my way. There we go. That should work. So this is my Vectorworks window, and I'm going to start out by setting up a template for myself. Very basic template. Go to File and New. Now Vectorworks presents me, wait, you know what, I need to start that again. Because like I said, I'm creating training content for a course, so I have to remember to do some of my introductions. Even though I can do that later on, it's easier if I do it at the beginning rather than having to go back and do these edits. So sit back with your beverage of choice. It's a Saturday morning at the moment, so if you have some coffee or some other beverage. Here we go. You know, I just check my levels real quick. Do a quick recording, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll go check this recording out because I can't hear myself while I'm doing this. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I could wear a monitor, an ear thing, but if I did that, then it would, there's a ever so slight delay, and it gets really distracting. It'd be different if I was talking to somebody else. All right. Hi everyone, this module is going to cover setting up a basic template. So here we go. In Vectorworks, we're going to go up to File and New. And Vectorworks presents us with the opportunity to choose several templates that they have. Oh wow, there's a delay. The live stream all of a sudden got really choppy. Let's turn that off. How's about now? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. All right. Okay, well, in that case, I will have to use the recording from Vectorworks, sorry, from Restream, instead of recording it locally. Interesting. Unfortunate. All right, we're going to do that again. Hi everyone, in today's segment we're going to set up a basic template for a hotel type event as opposed to a theatrical type event, and we're going to go into Vectorworks. And go up to File and New, and it presents us with some choices here of use document template, and there's a whole bunch of templates that they have built in. We're not going to use any of those. The Spotlight one is very theater centric, which is fine because corporate theater is, you know, what we do is a lot of it's born out of regular theater. But we're going to build a corporate room instead of a theater itself. So I'd like to use a few of the different settings. And besides, it's good to learn how to do a template from a blank document anyway. So select blank document, create blank document, and open that up. And here we have a blank page, and this blank page, let's take a tour around what this blank page looks like. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I have some settings that are already preset in Vectorworks. So yours may just look like a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of paper if you haven't set any of these up. So let me reset mine so that it looks like what you will be seeing. I go to Tools and Options, a little sidebar, Vectorworks Preferences. Reset Saved Settings. This is going to reset all my tool modes, dialog positions, and such. It's going to give me a starting point as if I had just opened the program without doing any customization. And we have a spinning wheel waiting. So let's see if that helped. Start again. Don't save it. Drawing. No, that didn't turn off all the settings. How interesting. Alright, let's see. Page boundary. There we go. Alright, now it should show up the way that I want it to, like yours will, or should, upon first opening it. You know what, I'm going to start from even more basic. We're going to change our video a little bit. Good morning, Duke. Welcome to the feed. All right, 1 second. Hi all, welcome to today's session. We are going to set up Vectorworks and lay out our templates and our profile and our various different settings so that we can all start on the same page, so to speak. Here I have Vectorworks open. I have opened up a new drawing. Let me just get rid of this one so you can see from the very beginning. If I go to File and New, and I select on Create Blank Document here, click OK, it should show me a blank page, and this grid that's shown here is a standard 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Now if you've already set up some things on your Vectorworks layouts and palettes and menus, you can leave them the same way if you'd like, but if we start this way then we're all working at the same place. So I have here in the middle the resource browser opened up as just a blank line here. I'm working on a Mac today, and so yours may be locked open, and if it is, up in the upper left corner there should be a little plus sign or whatnot, something to keep it open or closed. So if I click on this plus sign in the upper left corner, it'll just stay open. I don't want that to happen, so I do want it to automatically collapse. And I'm going to move this and hide it up here in the program bar because there's no valuable information stored up there in the program bar when we're drawing. So if I hide that up here, it gets out of the way, and it'll snap open and close as I hover over it, just like that. Over here on the right side, we have our object info palette, and below that we have our navigation classes. Our navigation palette, and it's set to classes. It also has the design layers, and it has sheet layers, and a few others that we're going to be dealing with. I'm going to grab this and drag it away from this right sidebar, and I'm going to make it wider, and I'm going to drag the whole thing up here also into the program bar up here at the top, and click the plus sign so it collapses and gets out of the way. This is particularly valuable for those of you on laptop screens and you don't have a lot of real estate. I'm recording this at a 1080p display size so that you can see it. Normally I would have a larger window, but my monitor is such a size that it Vectorworks is sitting over in the corner of my monitor. The attributes palette here, I'm going to drag down and put it at the bottom on the left side, and it's going to want to insert itself below. We're going to get, sometimes it gets a little finicky, so I'm going to drag this one out and see if it now wants to attach itself over here. Oh, it's because I have the snapping bar attached to it. So let's take the snapper out of there. And now we'll take the attributes bar, and it should claim a position here at the bottom. And I let go. There we go. Pardon me. For those of you on Windows, when you drag it over, you'll notice that there's this symbol that opens. It has a center box and then a top, right, left, and bottom, usually. And you just drag it to wherever it wants to click to in the top, right, left, or bottom. I'll insert a video to show you that on the Windows side once I record that. But I'm streaming live, so I'm talking to people who are existing here on the live stream. Tool sets here. I'm going to install right about, come on, there. There we go. Now I have a snapping palette here. The snapping palette, let's see if it'll grip at the bottom of the program. It will. For those of you in Windows, your snapping palette will not snap. So you just need to sort of leave it down here at the bottom. The tool sets here, I'm going to drag this down. Now yours may be showing the name and the icon, or it may just be showing the icon. My basic tool palette, I have it set at just the icons. For the tool sets here, I have that set at showing the name and the icon, so that when I'm doing the teaching, we can see what the icon means. If you're just using the icon itself and you hover over the icon, it will show up with a tooltip to show you what the icon is for. This one here that says preview features, these are the cable path and cable tools that Vectorworks intends to implement in the future. They had a little trouble trying to get it ready for 2021, so they put it in as a preview instead of as a full functioning tool because it wasn't quite ready for prime time. And they're working on it, so that'll be the future. I am a proponent of the way that it works currently, but I haven't really seen what they plan to do with the finished product with the new one. That's why it's in preview. So I'm going to close that because we're not going to be using it today. So here we go. We have the basic on the left, followed by tool sets, followed by attributes and snapping. For those of you in Windows, snapping will be somewhere over here in the lower left corner. On the right side, we have the object info palette, which says shape here. We also have the data tab, and we have the render tab. 95% of our use over here is going to be in the shape tab, followed by data. And then for those of you doing rendering, you'll be in the render tab more often. Now, getting back to it. Once I have this set up, if you want to save it this way, what you want to do is you want to exit Vectorworks and then reopen Vectorworks. It's the only way that Vectorworks currently saves the palettes where you want them. Under the menu here, under Window, you can drag down to Palettes, and you can go all the way down here to say Save Palette Positions. But I will tell you that it doesn't do a whole lot. If if Vectorworks crashes, which we all know Vectorworks does on occasion, it will not save the palette positions even if you've clicked on this. The only way that it's going to save it is if you exit Vectorworks and reopen it, because it really only saves it to the preferences file located in your hard drive upon exiting Vectorworks rather than using that tool. If you haven't opened a new document, go ahead and do so by going to File, New. We're going to do a blank document. And we're going to set up a basic template. So now we're going to get into the next segment of today's presentation, which is doing a basic template. I'm pausing for a moment for those of you that are watching so that I can stick in another introduction to have this as a separate module. So it'll take me a moment and I get to play with Restream for just a second. Let's see what if I... Alright, that was interesting. That way I can see in my editing later on where I need to come back and insert a break in the video. Hi everyone, welcome to today's segment. We are going to create a template for use when we're drafting our hotel ballroom events. So I'm going to start by opening a brand new document. Let me get rid of these from a past demonstration. Let's go to File and New, Create Blank Document. And this should give us an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper here on the center of the screen. If you're not sure where the page edges are, you can always click on this tool right here in the above center. It says Fit to Page Area, and it'll zoom out to your full page area right there. Well, I'm not showing on the screen. Well, there we go. Let's start that again. Put in a marker so I can find it. Hi everyone, today we're going to be covering creating a template for building hotel ballrooms quickly. You'll open this document so that you don't have to change a lot of settings already or before you start each and every time. I'm just watching the feed from Facebook and YouTube on my other computer to see if it's choppy. It's a tiny bit. It's got this little bit of delays. Not thrilled with that, but I think it'll be all right. Because the stream that I'm recording is not showing those delays. Hi everyone, today's segment we are going to set up a template to allow to reuse settings that we would need each time we want to draw a hotel ballroom. So this is going to be a standard ballroom template that I'll use every time that I want to create a quick drawing for communicating with the crew. So here we go into Vectorworks. I have here nothing at the moment. I'm going to go up to open a new file, and instead of using the available document templates here to create my first template, I'm going to create a blank template. Once we create this and we save it, your template will be available in this list of choices, which is kind of handy. So you can create several templates to give yourself a nice starting off point. So here I have my template, blank template opening up. There's nothing there except for the grid that shows me the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that Vectorworks' blank template comes with. If you want to see the entire grid in that shape, we go up here to the center of our screen, and there's a button that says Fit to Page Area. We can click that, and it zooms out, and we see the entire thing. These are some of the things we're going to change, because obviously we're not going to be sending the venue drawings and the crew drawings using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, most likely. I'm going to change mine to a D size architectural size. That's a 36 by 24 sheet of paper. Go up to File and Page Setup. Here we have pages. A horizontal is one piece of paper, vertical is one. Show boundary, that's this grid here. We're actually going to end up turning that off, but I want to show you this first. I'm going to choose a size unavailable in printer setup. And I'm going to choose on architectural D size, which, like I said, is 36 wide by 24 tall. If you have a plotter, or if you have a driver for a plotter, you can also go to printer setup and choose the printer that you want. But this is how you do it if you don't have that printer. And let's say you're going to send this out to a place that can plot it out for you. You'd want to send them this size piece of paper. If I click OK, let's see what happens here. I zoom out. There's the size sheet of paper. You can see this line just going around. So this is 24 by 36. It's handy to have the sheet available so that you can see how your layout is going to look like when you send it out to be printed. Even though we are planning on doing our printing via viewports on sheet layers, having this here as a reference is handy, especially for people new at drafting. Let's go back to page setup. And for those that have a plotter driver, if I click on printer setup and I click on my HP plotter, and then I click on my sizes of paper, I can choose an architectural D size. Let's see, 24 by 36. Use this one. Click OK. And then in this window, see it says 36 by 24, but it says 1.0117. That means that it's not taking into account the margins of the paper. So I'm going to click on this button here and put in 1 that size and 1 this size. And now it has put in the standard margins here. And I can unclick that. Oops, let's do that 1 and 1. There we go, and click OK. So now my plotter is in my setup. If you don't have a plotter, and when I started out without a plotter, this is what we would do. If you're going to your standard printer, this is a standard 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. My paper size, that's not going to fit. It's US letter. And I click OK. See, it's going to take almost 4.5 sheets of paper one way and just over 2 sheets of paper the other way. And I tell it to show page breaks. When you print it out, see these lines here? This is how you would print it out and then have to tape it together. If you're in the hotel and you don't have your plotter anymore and you have to print out a new set, you're going to print it out this way and go to the business center in the hotel, and you're going to print it out this way and tape it together and bring it to the venue, and they're going to laugh, but they'll appreciate having the proper paperwork. So in my template, I don't care about anything about any of that. So I'm going to go to page setup, and I'm going to tell it to not show me the page boundary at all. And there it goes. Okay, I just know that I've set it up, and that's how you set it up for your template. So we have that set up. A couple other things to set up in your template here. I'm going to hit Tools and go down to Smart Cursor Settings. Okay, and it gives us a note about snaps and the tilde key, which is handy. It's just over the tab key on your keypad. We'll get to that another time. Click OK. And grid. I'm going to change my grid from the snap grid. It says 1 inch, and that's way too tiny. That's why we don't see any grid on our screen. I'm going to change this to, actually that's the snap grid I'm going to change to 3 inches, and then here on the reference grid we're going to leave at 1 foot. We're going to have show grid show up, but print grid, we don't want the grid to print. Let's see what other settings we have here in our smart cursor settings. We're going to turn on zoom, line thickness, and snap there. Okay, grid, object, these I just leave all checked, and I don't change those much. And when we do need to change them, we'll get to those another time. Okay, if I zoom in, there's my grid. Now these grid markings are every foot, as we'll see up here. See, this is let's see, here's 0 feet and 1 feet and 2 feet. But if I want to snap to an object inside the grid, if I'm snapping grid, it's going to snap every 3 inches. Sometimes we'll change that. We actually change that pretty often. So that's that setting. So that is our basic setting for how we want to set up our drawing. Page size, there we go. Let's check a couple of the settings real quick. I want to make sure that my architectural settings are in feet and inches. So go up here to File and Document Settings and Units. Oops, not georeferencing. File, Document Settings, Units. And yes, mine are already set to feet and inches. Down here we have rounding precision. I don't need to round to a fraction at all, so I'm going to just turn this off to no fractions. Everything we use, just about, all comes into an almost exact location. You know, our platforms are going to be 4 by 8 or 5 by 10 or whatever they're going to be, but there's hardly ever any need for fractions in what we're doing for hotel ballroom events. So we have that done. Everything else can stay the same. Let's go to layers. This layer right here is in 1/4 inch scale. Click on this button here, it says layers. And here we see that it is in 1/4 inch scale. I prefer to draft in 1/2 inch scale. That's me. You can draft in your, if you prefer 1/4, that's fine. But for our training, we're going to go into edit this to 1/2 inch scale. So we hit this window here. This was the organization window. And then I clicked on the layer and clicked on edit there. And we have a scale button here. Change this to 1/2 inch scale. Okay, there we go. So that's 1/2 inch scale. While we're here in this window under organization, we are going to give ourselves some new layers. Keep ourselves organized. Click on new. And my first layer, I'm going to type in, is going to be room. Okay. Hit enter. There we go. And click on new. Now you can also, instead of clicking each time, you can hold down your command or alt or control key. For Mac, it's the command key. For Windows, it's the control key. So I'm going to hold that down and click on, press on N, and you'll see here that, well, you'll see that these buttons change. N opens up the same thing as if I clicked on it. So this one we're going to type in seating. Do that again. And this one we're going to call stage hyphen scenic. This is where we're going to put the stage and drapes and anything that has to do with the scenic people. Okay. Next one is going to be video. Video. Next one is going to be audio. Next one's going to be lighting. Now, before you hit enter, or if you did, we can open up and edit it. I'm actually going to change this. I'm going to put it, actually, lighting, hyphen, actually, or space, hung, overhead. Lighting overhead. Okay, we're going to add another one. Lighting, ground, or floor. Right? Because we're going to want those on two different layers so that when we lay these out, we can print them out with some for the overhead work and some for the floor work, because we might have two different crews. Or we're going to certainly put the stuff on the rigging and then fly it out and then work on the floor. So speaking of rigging, the next one is going to be rigging. And there we have it. So there are our 9 layers, and I don't need a design layer. However, if you want to save it for just doing scratch paper work, you can. So there are our layers. Rigging is on top because it's going to be at the topmost level of our stack of paper. And we're going to move it around a little bit as we draft. Let's save this. Command S or Control S, or just go up to File and Save, so we don't lose our work. And I'm going to name this template. Actually, I'm just going to name this Hotel Template. So far, we haven't saved it as a template. We've only named it as Hotel Template. There's going to be a lot more to do as we're going along. But what that does, actually, you know what, we will save it as a template. So we're going to save this as a template. We've named it Hotel Template. Now let's go to Save As and Save As Template. Okay. I'm going to put 2 A's at the beginning of the name so that they sort in the templates and they show up at the top. AA Hotel Template. I'll put my initials. You guys put your initials at the end of it so you know that you made it. Okay. And it's going to be Vectorworks Templates. I'm going to save it in the Templates folder and click on Save. Okay. Now, check this out. The name of our drawing has changed to Untitled because now it's based on a template. So let's just see if this works. Go to File and New. Use Document Template, and there it is, a Hotel Template. Click OK. And here is my template, Untitled 8. If we go to Navigation and Sheet Layers, well, we don't want sheet layers, Design Layers, there are all the layers that we just created. So that is how you can create a basic hotel template. Now we're going to add a bunch of things that haven't been in the drawing yet, like platforming and walls and ceilings and floors. We're going to save those into our template so that we have the classes. Classes are incredibly powerful tools to use in your organizing your drawing. Up here in our navigation design layers, let's click on classes. This has a dimension class and a none class. And in my templates, I might have hundreds of classes in order to allow me to display exactly what I want to display in my drawings. So what I'm going to do now is draw an actual hotel ballroom setup. And add all the classes for all the items that I'm going to want. And at the end, we'll save it as a drawing. But at the end, we're going to delete everything, but keep the classes, and then save that as my template. So it'll all be preloaded. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and start again to draw the hotel room as a tutorial on its own. And then after that, I will come back and explain the template creation portion and edit it to the first portion of the presentation. So I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. That's the first time I've used one of those countdown things, and it automatically dumps me back into the picture. So I guess I really have to be ready for that. Okay, get rid of both of those. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the feed. I hope you're getting something out of this. Let's see if it showed up here in my chat window. There it is. Hey there. Hi everybody. In today's segment, we're actually going to use the template we created before and build a hotel ballroom, our first. So we're going to be adding a lot of classes in this lesson. Classes are vitally important for us to be able to have a lot of control over what we want to see while we're drawing and what we want to present in our drawings. So let's go up to File and New and use the template we created. If you haven't created your own template, go back and watch that segment first, because you're going to want this template. So here we have a new drawing. Before I start, it just says Untitled 9. I'm going to hit Command or Control S or go up to File and drag down to Save. And we're going to save this as a drawing. Oh, isn't that interesting? I guess I actually have to do something before it'll let me save. I've never save as. Wow. Oh, there we go. Interesting. Okay, hotel ballroom. Just hit hotel ballroom 1 and save. Okay. You'll learn that it's very valuable to save early and save often with Vectorworks. There are save settings. That's in another video on how to do your backup and save settings. So here we have our basic empty template, and I'm going to start by drawing a rectangle. It doesn't really matter what size. You know what? Before I do that, here's what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to do a better video for this part, but I have it to use a different set of cameras. So what I've done is I've drawn myself a picture here. What I've done is I've drawn myself a quick picture. Okay, it's a basic layout of a hotel ballroom. Okay, we've got front of house over here. We've got a stage with an LED wall behind it, a couple of video screens on either side with projection. Won't look nearly as good, but it's just how we're going to do the drawing so we can set it up. A bunch of lights, some front light, back light, and a couple of speakers on sticks, or we'll hang them from individual points in the room. So that's my basic setup for the event. And during my site visit or during my conversation with my production manager, they may have told me that the room was 70 feet deep by 100 feet wide. So having a little map at your desk table will help a lot in your keeping track of what you're trying to draft and the information you want. You might also include in this that you need seating for 500 or whatnot if you wanted to add seating. So let's do the drawing that I just made in my little cheat sheet. So here in Vectorworks, I'm going to grab the rectangle tool. Up here in the basic tool palette, we have all these tools here. And here is the rectangle tool right there. And I'm going to draw a rectangle to represent the size of the room. Now here it doesn't matter what size I draw the rectangle. You can just grab it and draw it. And as we pull it off to the right and up to the right, you'll see that we have this area on the right to the right of my cursor that tells me how big my rectangle is going to be. And I'm up around 100 feet, but it's awfully exact down to a decimal point. I don't need that precision. And it's also in point instead of in fractions. But I can just click it. It doesn't matter. Okay. Up here in my object info palette gives me the size. I have the width as 100 feet point something or other. I'm going to change that to 100 feet. Okay. Just by manually entering 100. And then I hit the tab key and I get to the height. And this one I'm going to change to 70 feet. So I have to press 70 and the apostrophe. And now my room is 100 by 70. But it's not centered in my space. So here I have this little checkerboard. I'm going to click on the middle button. And this is going to give me a reference point right there in the center. And that was there anyway, but that's going to move my room, my rectangle, based on that center point. If I click on the upper left one, it'll move it based on this upper left corner over here. If I click on the upper right one, it'll move it based on the upper right corner over here. So I want the room to be centered on my piece of paper. So I'm going to click in there. I'm going to change the X to 0 and the Y to 0. And now my room is centered on my drawing paper, or my drawing space. It doesn't have anything to do with the paper yet. We're going to get to that when we get to sheet layers. So there's my room. It's 100 by 70. I'm going to make a quick change to my drawing here because I don't like the decimal point. So in my document settings under units, it should be feet and inches. It is. No fractions. Decimal positions 1. Precision 1. Area 1. Cubic feet I don't really care about. Let's see if that makes the change. Let's draw. Yes, there we go. I got rid of that decimal point. So that is my room. I click on the rectangle and I want to convert this into a room. Let's go up here to Event Design and tell it to create a room. This tool is going to give me walls and a floor. So I want my walls, I'm going to make these, make the walls 20 feet tall. Okay, the thickness I don't really care about. Here it just says 4 inches thick, and that's perfectly fine. The fill hatch, let's give it a little bit of, we're going to leave it at none. Okay, class. Class is the important part. I'm going to click here. I'm going to type in room hyphen walls. Hit enter. Oh, sorry, I don't have that class yet. Let me restart that. That didn't look good. Okay, hey Travis, welcome to the feed. All right, let me just throw in a little marker so I know where I am, so I can edit this. That allows me to quickly edit it later on. Okay, so Travis is a freelancer who I hired for the company that I used to work with before COVID hit, and I think he did load in this exact design for me. Although I'm doing this from scratch. Travis, I have a new project that I want to get your opinions on. I'll send you a text or an email shortly. Okay. Stick in another marker. So here we have a class button, and I want to go down here, and I don't have any classes, but that's the whole point of our doing this exercise, is I'm going to click on new class, and I want to put the walls under a class called room hyphen walls. And for the floor, I'm going to put the floor in a class called room hyphen floor. Room hyphen floor. Now, if you know what color your walls are and your floors are, you can put in your textures. I'm just going to leave them as the defaults for this exercise, and that's perfectly fine. So I click OK. And there's my room. So let's check this how this room looks. If I go up here and I pull down on my views, I have a top plan, right isometric. Oops, yes. We're going to get rid of that message. And there's my room. Very basic, no doors. It's like that riddle. If you have no doors and no windows, how do you get out? So there's that. Something that some people may have noticed is that I've just drawn these in the rigging layer. When we created the layers, we created them in reverse order, and the last one that we created was rigging, and when you create a new layer, it leaves you in that layer. So we don't want this room in our rigging layer. We want this room to be in our room layer. So I'm going to go up here with all this stuff still selected. If you deselected it, go ahead and reselect it. I'm going to click on rigging here in the object info palette, and I'm going to change it down into the room layer. And then now it turned gray because we're not seeing it fully. It's set to show here in the layers, over here, there it is. It's set to show here gray and snap others. We're still in the rigging layer, and since it's gray and snap others, it's just grayed out, but it'll still snap to the objects in that layer. Since we're working on the room layer, we're going to go into the room layer here and actually draw in this layer now. So there it is, it's all lit up. Click outside of it to release it. I want to add some doors. In our tool palettes over here, we have a little house, the building shell. Click on the building shell and find the door tool. Click on the door, and we now are dragging in a little door. Let's zoom in on this wall a little ways and hover over the wall and see how it turns orange or red. That means that this item, this object, will insert itself into that wall. I click on the wall, and now it wants to ask me what direction do I want the door to open. I'm going to ask it to swing out because it's an exit door. And I click again once I have it in the correct position, in the correct direction, and there is the door. Now that we have the door here created, I'm going to go into the Object Info palette and make some changes. So we have configuration, we can leave it at swing, but swing operation, we're going to change this to double by part. There it is. Now this is an awfully small door. It's only 3 feet wide. That's the default when I put it in. So instead of 3 feet wide, I'm going to change it to 6 feet wide by typing in 6 and apostrophe and hit enter. And now we have a 6 foot wide exit double swinging door. We can grab this door. I'm going to click on my X key here on my keypad, or you can go up here and click on the arrow to select the selection tool, and I can move the door to put it in the right place. It depends on what your drawing says. I'm not going to worry about it because I did not do this on a basis of a site drawing. But here I want to make a duplicate of the door. Let's go up to Edit. Oops, no, not Duplicate Array. That's not what I wanted. Edit. Duplicate. Okay. Now I duplicated it. You just can't see it because it's sitting right over it. If I drag it over here and I place it, just drag it there, there's the second door. Now you can place it to exact locations. We'll do that another time, but you just want a couple of doors. Okay. Let's do that again. Let's see if this will work. Duplicate. I'm not sure this will work. Drag it to another wall. There it goes. There we go. There's a door in the back. Now there's a shortcut to duplicate, and that is Command or Control D, and it duplicates the door and moves it over here. We'll move it here. Now if you want it in line of this door, we can snap to that door, and you see how it gives me this line that goes straight up? There we go. So now we have our 4 doors, 2 in front, 2 in the back. Hi Bob, how are you? Welcome to my streaming of a Vectorworks, how to do Vectorworks. For those of you seeing this stream at a later date, not live, today is a Saturday morning, if you want to find out more about streaming and joining this live stream, join my Facebook group, Stage Seminars, on Facebook, and it'll be the private group and request to access, and that's where I announce when I'm streaming. Okay, doors. We have the doors. Next thing we're going to draw on this layer is a center line of the room. So I'm going to click on the line tool, find the center marker of the room. Now we have 2 midpoints. Check this out. We've got a midpoint here and a midpoint here. One is the midpoint of the doors, and the other is the midpoint of the room. So up here we have a 0, XY, that's the X0, and that's the midpoint we want. So we're going to draw from this midpoint, and there's my line I'm starting to draw. Let's scroll out, move this up. Panning and tilting is quite easy. Just hold down your scroll wheel on your mouse, and it turns into the hand, and you can move your drawing around. Pull all the way down, and we're going to click here, and there's our line. We want this to be called center line, so in my object info palette I'm going to type in center line. Okay, and enter. And now I want to change the line style because a center line should be a long dash, short dash line. So it's a line classification. So here in our attributes palette, we have a solid line right there. I'm going to change this to line type. And then in this window here, click this, and it'll give me some choices. So I have to scroll down and find the line that I want. I don't see the line that I want, or you might not see the line you want if it's still set to what's in the drawing. Now if it opened up and it said Hotel Ballroom 1, which is what we're working on, and it gives you a short dashed line, that's not the one we want. You can go down here to the Vectorworks libraries and default line types, And we're going to find the long dash short dash line. Now I happen to know from experience that this is the ISO 05 line, 08 line. Here it is, ISO 08 long dash short dash line. Let's see if that shows up in the window. ISO 08 long dash short dash. I'm going to click on that. Let's double click it. And now it has changed to that line type. Let's zoom in on it. And there it is, long dash, short dash. So that's our center line. Let's zoom out to see the entire drawing. I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to select that line. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this line in each and every layer because everyone is going to relate to this line as far as the drawing goes. But one more thing before we do that is I'm going to duplicate this line. So I'm going to hit Command D to duplicate. And then I'm going to click on Command L or Control L to rotate that line 90 degrees. Now since this line is that length, it rotates based on its center point. So this is the center of the drawing up and down stage. Let's make this line longer all the way over to the side. Make this line longer all the way over to the side. There we go. And let's select both of them. Now with these selected, I'm going to hit Command or Control D for duplicate. Okay, before we do anything else, if yours duplicated and it looks like mine where it's just directly over the originals, we're going to continue in a moment. If yours is offset, we're going to make a change to your settings in Vectorworks. On Mac, you go to Vectorworks and Preferences. In Windows, you go to Tools, and there'll be a Preferences down here under Options and Vectorworks Preferences. In Windows, you don't have the one from the Vectorworks that I showed you before, so you have to go to this one. Vectorworks Preferences. Under Edit, there's a button that says Offset Duplicates. I always uncheck that. I know people that always have it checked. How you use it is up to you. For this lesson, we need to have it unchecked. And it'll become painfully evident when we're placing lighting units. But we'll get there soon. Okay. So we're going to click OK that you've unchecked that. So if you did have them offset, go ahead and delete those and redo the Command or Control D tool and reduplicate the units. With these duplicates selected, we're going to move these to our layer, to a new layer. That's the room layer. Let's move one to the seating layer. They disappeared. Well, they went gray actually. Let's select them again, duplicate it again, and move this set of duplicates to the stage and scenic layer. Let's do it again. Select both. I'm holding down the Shift key to select the second one. Duplicate it. Move it to layer video. Let's do it again. Duplicate it. Move it to layer audio. Now we are going to add these back to our template layer, template drawing, so it's always in our template. Because center lines will always be centered, and then we'll center everything around where the center markers are. So I duplicated it, layer, I think I did video, I thought I did audio, I may not have. I'm going to put it in audio. If you have two sets of them in one layer, that's fine, you can always delete it later. Let's duplicate this and move this into layer lighting. Do it again. Duplicate it, move it into layer lighting ground. And we're going to do it one last time. And we're going to duplicate it and move it to layer rigging. So now we have duplicates in each layer. Fantastic. let's place a stage. Actually, let's save. There we go. Let's place a stage. Draw a rectangle, doesn't matter the size. Okay. At least for the moment, we're going to correct it. Okay. And my stage up here in my object info palette, let's make it 36 feet wide. Tab, 12 feet deep. Tab. And we're going to move it XY. We want it centered in the room. So in the with this center point clicked on our checkerboard, we're going to type in 0 here. And as far as the Y goes, we don't need it. We don't want it in the center of the room unless you're doing it in the round. So we're going to move it just by dragging it to about there. And this will be dictated by fire marshal regulations and or your other backstage needs to be how far back against the wall you can do this. And I've drawn this by accident in the room layer. So let's move it to our stage layer. And then let's go to that stage layer. And navigation, stage layer. Here we go. You see how the center lines are still selected is because we duplicated it and then we moved it, but we didn't deselect it in that layer. So we'll click outside those ranges, and now we have our center lines and we have our stage. So with the stage built, it's just a rectangle right now. Let's pick the stage, go up to Event Design, Create Stage. Stage height 4 feet. Whoa, that's way too high. So let's type in 24 for 24 inches without the apostrophe or the inch sign. If you just type in 24, it'll be 24 inches high. Structure, let's make it a simple. Okay, you can do these other choices as well. I'm just going to do simple. Object class. Okay. We're going to do a new class. Staging. Okay. There we go. Staging. And it's going to be black. Click OK. It's now calculating the decks. Now you're going to be able to change the deck size for your venue. You find out what the venue has. But there is our basic layout for a venue that has 4x8 platforms, and hopefully they'll have this 4x4 that's needed in this corner. Here in your object info palette, it says that we need 14 stage deck objects, so there's the 13 plus the one 4x4. Rectangular deck shapes and such. You can make changes here if you need to those deck pieces. The structure is simple. Near the bottom of our object info palette, we have classes. We're going to click on classes, and we're going to tell it to assign default classes with prefix of staging. Now it's putting the tops and the trims and the borders and all these different things that we might use in the future. I'm saving it this way because we're going to resave our template file at the end of this exercise. Click OK. Right, and I always hit update just in case I need that. Bonus points is if you use text options, you can add the height in the drawing units, and we'll make this font size bigger. Let's make it 36, and we'll see what it looks like. Click OK. It gives me the height of all the decks, so we don't need that. Let's go back to that. I wonder if it has. It does not. All right, let's turn these off. Turn all of those off. Click outside our venue, outside the platform. Click on this, let's click on this one back here. Now let's do a text options for just that one. Height is all I really want. And we'll do a plus sign. and then click OK. Oh, that's interesting. So we can see how it's hidden underneath this one. Let's go to this, grab this blue box right there and just drag it up to here. There we go. Text options. And let's do keep text horizontal. So now we can be sure that the venue knows that this platform structure should be 24 inches tall. And the beauty about this is if we select all of these platforms and we need to change the height to, let's say, 18 inches, it changes it automatically. You're not placing a text box that someone forgets to change later on. It just reads it straight off the platform. So there's our platform. Let's add some drapes off to the side. Over here in the tool sets we have event design, and there is a soft goods tool right here. Okay, soft goods. It gives us all of our line drawing controls up here. Click on that. We're going to draw a line over to the wall. Click once to finish the line, or and then a second time to actually finish the line. Functions, curtain. We change this to pipe and drape. And we're going to make these, let's say, 17 feet tall. It helps if you know how tall you're going to do your LED wall. And then we have lots of other settings here. Simple 2D, simple 3D. And then classes. Now the prefix here, it says soft goods. I want to keep them under scenery, or actually I'll just leave it as soft goods. Assign, there we go. And we're going to click OK, which is not in the window. There we go. Click OK. And there's our drape. Let's take a look at the drape. There's the drape. Okay. Over here on this left side, I also want to stick, stage left side, a set of steps since we're here. And over here in my tool set, I'm going to select the Stage Steps tool. You'll see if it gives us a set of steps. Let's mark it right there. Draw it here. And our stage height, it gives us some settings. 24 inches high. Okay, the stringer length, it says 6 feet. That's going to be awfully deep, but we're going to change it later. Let's just draw it, click OK. There it is. Right. That's a lot of steps. Let's change this to the number of steps. Let's say it's 24 inches high, so if each step is 8 inches, it'd be 8, 16 plus the deck, so that's only 2 steps high. The 8 and the 16, so we'll change that to 2. And that doesn't look good, so the stringer length, I'm going to change to, let's say, 24 inches. Yeah, let's take a look at that from the front. Turn this off. Okay, that's not quite right, so let's change the depth. Oh, that's the stringer length. 36. There we go. Okay, so that's placing a set of steps. Look at it from the top view. Now the reason why I drew this before I drew the drape on the other side is because we're going to mirror both of them. So let's grab the step unit and the drapes. So I press Shift to select one, or select the second one. And over here in the tool palette we have the mirror tool, which is also the equal sign on your keyboard. But the mirror tool looks like this. We have two options. One is standard mode, which is where it'll just mirror it and then delete the first one. We want to retain and duplicate. So there's the duplication setting. I'm going to click on the center line of the room and drag down, and look what's happening over here. Look, there's a duplicate being dragged around. So I just draw straight down the center line, click, and it'll put a duplicate of these objects on that side. And there they are. So now we have two sides. Next, we're going to place a video wall. And this time I'm going to remember to change my layer. That was under staging. Now we're going to go to video. In the staging tool set, I have here LED screen. And this is based on the center. The click point, reference point, is on the center of the LED screen. And this is just a standard, first time I'm putting in this drawing, so it's just going to be that wide. And place it. And now we'll make our changes over here to the object info palette. And so we'll place it first. Click OK. And this video wall is nowhere near the size that we need. So let's go into our isometric view and take a look at how we can manipulate this. Right isometric view. And there's my LED wall with these LED pixels. So in here on my object info palette, we're going to change the module shape of each tile. I'm going to put these in as 24 inches. So there's 24 wide, 24 tall. Now your venue is going to let you know what size video wall they have, or your video folks are going to give you this information. I don't care in this particular layout. I just want to know the final size. So I'm going to do overall dimension and spacing. There we go. I want a 15 feet high video wall. 15 feet. No, that's the width. I want a 36 foot wide video wall, because that's how wide my stage is. There it is. And my array height, I'm going to make this 15 feet. There's the height. And you remember how our deck is 2 feet high? Let's look at this from the front view. And let's make a change in our navigation palette to gray snap others. We'll make it to show snap others. And right now the walls are in our way. We can't see inside the room. So let's go to navigation and go down to the room, and under visibility we have these visible, then the middle will be hidden, and the right column here will be grayed out. So let's change this to gray. Now we can see through the walls. So now that we can see through the walls, let's do our selection tool just so we don't have that video wall in the way. We have our video wall selected. You'll see it's sitting on the floor behind the platforms. So let's change our Z value to 24 inches high. Hit enter. And it moves it up. There's a little bit of spacing here because there's a frame around the video wall. Okay. We don't want the frame. I'm going to turn off none under base structure. What it's doing is it's 6 inches short because of the size of the wall. Remember, they're 24-inch panels, but I told it that it was a 15-foot high wall. So let's change it to a 16-foot high wall. And then scoot it up to the next one. So we're going to move this down minus 12. There we go. Now it's even. We might have to change the height of the drapes to match the wall. It depends, but again, this is a training exercise. So there's our video wall, there's our stage. The video wall is in the video layer, the stage is in the staging area layer. just so we all know, I'm going to go until about noon in this live stream. And I'll continue at a later time. Just throw in a marker here so I can delete. Let's put in some seating. Change the seating layer. Yep. Up here, seating layer. Seating is going to be dictated by the fire marshal plan. I don't have a plan of the fire marshal plan for this room that I'm making up, so I'm just going to draw some seats right here. Be just a standard rectangle. Same thing we did before is we're going to move it to the center of the room. I'm not worried about front and back. Now that I have this rectangle centered on my room, I'm going to give myself a little bit more room for confidence monitors and such. So there's the seating section, seating plan. Let's go over here to the tool set, and we have a seating section tool right there. And we have a few choices. We have a paint bucket tool, which is create from a shape mode, and that's the shape we're using already. We've already created the shape. So it's going to dump the seats in here. So first I have to select the shape. So that's the first click. Just like that. Now I'm going to click again to place the seats. And then I have to click a third time in the direction of the stage, so that all the seats are pointing towards the stage. This opens up the seating tool. I'm going to ask it to use actual symbols to show us what the chairs look like. We have a lot of space and a lot of information. I have a whole nother class segment on the seating tool. But here we're going to go to classes, and we're going to tell it to assign the default classes and click OK. Now this tells us in the object info palette that we have 424 seats. Depends on how many seats you need. I'm not going to get into that in this class, but I do want to draw an aisle. So I'm going to put a center aisle in, and instead of the paint bucket tool, I'm going to use the shape tool. I'm going to draw an aisle down the center, and let's see, I have these seats. Oh, you know what? Look at that. That seat is off center. So before I do the aisle tool, let's go to our settings of the seating tool and make a slight change. Here it says primary fill direction is left to right. Let's change this to center out. Okay, so we've made the change. So it's settings, instead of left to right, it's center out. Click OK. And now it's put the center seat centered on our center line. A lot of centered. I'm going to get rid of the middle 5 seats. So all I have to do in our aisle tool over here, using our shape tool, the rectangle, is draw a rectangle bisecting the seat to the left and the seat to the right of center line that I want to get rid of. So you'll see I'm hitting 5 seats. And I click the button a second time to actually draw the rectangle. See how it's eliminated those seats? Exactly what we want to have happen. This object here we don't want to show, so we're going to move it from the class none. We're going to move it to seating. Let's expand that. And to layout, which is the frame going around your seats. And since it's hidden already, that disappears. So that's an incredibly fast way of doing a seating layout. And because we deleted those seats, or we've hidden those seats, look, the seating chairs has reduced to 384 chairs in the entire room. If you want to do separate seating sections so you can count each section, you would do this multiple times and just create more sections rather than putting an aisle in the way I just showed you. So that's the seating plan. Very quick, very simple, and the seating section tool is very powerful, except if you want to do custom seats and custom shapes. Then you're going to want to do different methods, which we'll cover in another class. Next is our light plot. So we're going to change to our lighting overhead layer. Something to keep note of is that redrawing seats, Vectorworks takes a little time. Every time you do a redraw, it's going to redraw all these chairs. So for this, going forward, for right now, we're just going to turn off the seating layer. So navigation design, and put an X in that center column. If you want to see it for reference, just go into that layer, turn it on, and then turn it off. There you have it. If anybody's watching, go ahead and throw in a comment in the chat. I'm about to end for this morning and continue another time with the rest of this lesson on drawing a hotel ballroom event. So thanks for watching, and sign up to, you can either subscribe to my Stage Seminars YouTube channel. If you go into YouTube and just type in Stage Seminars, one word, you'll find it. Or in Facebook, go to the Stage Seminars private group. Again, Facebook, type in Stage Seminars, just one word, and there's two. There's a page and there's a group. Join the group. It'll ask you some questions to make sure you're not a bot, and then we'll see you next time around. So I'm going to end this feed, this stream. Thanks for visiting. I've had a great time, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.